Not the element grid, like the element circles, whatever those are. The field. Changes the field. I don't know why I can't think of what that's called now. Hey guys, it's me again, Tantacles, here with another tier list, this time the Chrono Cross red element tier list. I'm going to rank them all to help you figure out the best elements for your Chrono Cross game, and just in time for the remaster. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and come back for more Chrono Cross content. We're going to start with all of the attack elements. Red is a little bit unique because the level 2 attack element for red is Magma Bomb. It attacks all enemies, and that unfortunately means that it's weaker than other single target elements against single target bosses. Most of the bosses in this game are single target with a few exceptions. Fireball, on the other hand, is our level 1 element, and that's single target, and that's going to go, for the time you get it in the game, into the B tier, and Magma Bomb unfortunately goes into the C tier for me. It's going to end up at the lower end of the C tier. Even in a multi-target battle, it's better to have a strong single target element so you can finish off one enemy and then not have them attacking you for the rest of the battle. That's going to make the rest of the battle a lot easier. And let me just reorder this for a sec. Magma Burst has to be here for a moment because it's our level 4 element. Fire Pillar and Magma Burst are both single target attack elements. Fire Pillar is level 3, Magma Burst is level 4. Magma Burst goes into the A tier and Fire Pillar goes into the B tier. Actually, you know what? Fire Pillar goes into the C tier. Now the reason for that is that when you have Magma Burst, you have no need for Fire Pillar. It's better to use the higher level elements to do more damage. I'll be making another video soon that shows you what happens when you I'll be making another video soon with some footage that shows what happens when you allocate lower level elements to higher slots and higher level elements to lower slots. You might be surprised at the results. Next up is Inferno, and it's our level 5 element that attacks all enemies and also causes burn. I don't really care about the status effect, but I do care about the element, which goes into the S tier. The level 5 elements are very powerful, attack all enemies, and are very easy to use. Literally anyone can use them. For that matter, Inferno Trap is also going to go into the S tier because it can not only get you that element for yourself, but also prevent you from taking damage from those powerful elements in battle. Volcano is the level 6 attack element, only equipable by innate red characters. It's going to go into the S tier, lower than Inferno. Now the reason it goes below Inferno is that restriction of equipping it only on red characters is incredibly restrictive. However, it's extremely accessible, so if you are using a red character in your party, you should generally be allocating this instead of Inferno. It only goes below it because only red tier characters can equip it. Similarly, Volcano Trap, of course, is going to go into the S tier, and from the Tragedien, I still don't know how to say that. Tragedien. You know what? We're going to say Tragedy Ann. Now I think that's the funniest way to say it. You can get it from the Tragedy Anns. Red Wolf is our level 7 summoning spell, and that goes into the A tier. It's actually going to go above Magma Burst in the A tier because it's very easy to cast because of Red Field. Now, granted, Red Field comes very late in the game, but it's an element that allows you to change the entire field to red, and summon elements must be cast with an entirely red field. Red field is going to go into the S tier. There are a lot of enemies that will change the field completely to one color, and anything that can wipe away that effect is extremely valuable. I just wish they gave it to you earlier, but I can see why they didn't. But anyway, back to Red Wolf. Red Wolf is A tier because it's a great, powerful spell. Again, can only be equipped on red innate characters, but it's your only way to get your red rainbow materials to make rainbow equipment. Comes in very handy at the end of the game, and of course in New Game Plus you can carry over your rainbow equipment. However, you cannot carry over your rainbow shells, so in your first playthrough you want to use all of your rainbow shells before you go on to New Game Plus. Next up is Red Wolf Trap, and similarly, of course, that's going to go into the S tier. That being said, it only goes into the S tier because Red Wolf is so good, and honestly, there are so few enemies that actually use Red Wolf when compared to Inferno and Volcano that you're really going to have to seek out that Red Wolf spell. But you do want it, and you can get it from the Red Wolf Trap. Now, I have to say, Red Wolf is actually the element that I'm least sure about on this list. The reason for that is that you can get red elements by deconstructing some of your equipment, and you can do that for the blue, yellow, and green elements as well, so you don't necessarily need it, but it's still a very powerful spell, and it's not difficult to change the whole field to red. Next up is Salamander, our level 8 summoning spell, and that's going to go into the A tier. Now, it goes below Magma Burst and Red Wolf because it can only be allocated to level 8. It would be great if you could allocate it a little bit lower, but you can't. However, it's more useful than the white and black level 8 summons because you have Red Field. Tablet is next. It's a level 1 consumable element that heals 50 HP. Now, Tablet is an interesting one because the effective Tablet is garbage. Nobody needs to heal 50 HP. You can do that with Cure, you can do that with Cure All, Heal All. It only heals one person. However, Because it is a level 1 element, you can cast it with impunity and you can get up to 5 casts of it for battle. So it's going to go into the B tier simply for the fact that it makes it easy to change the element grid. Not the element grid, like the element circles, whatever those are. The field. Changes the field. I don't know why I can't think of what that's called now. Changes the field and can do it up to 5 times at level 1. Very useful. Next up is Ointment, a level 2 consumable that heals all red status effects. Unfortunately, with the existence of Purify and Panacea, this goes into the D tier. I guess it could have some use if you wanted to change the field to red, but you might as well just use tablets for that. They're less expensive and they're at level 1, so they're much easier to use. Turn Red goes into the A tier, and it goes just above Salamander. The reason for this is that even though you're not required to have a blue character in your party at all times, like you are a white character with Surge or a black character with Lynx, there are so many amazing blue characters in the game, like Lena, Irene's, and Fargo especially, that this element is extremely useful for increasing your damage. If you don't know what it does, it turns your opponent into the red element so that blue elements will do more damage and red elements will do less damage. Next up is Anti-Blue. This is a support element that prevents the use of all blue elements by one enemy. It can only be equipped by red innate characters, and it's going to go solidly into the bottom of C tier. Unfortunately, these spells don't work well on bosses, and you really don't need to use these on regular enemies. You can power through them pretty easily by just hitting their weaknesses. In Chrono Cross, it's often much better to spend your time doing damage than it is preventing damage to yourself. Next up is Weaken, a level 4 element that decreases the enemy's attack power, and like with Anti-Blue, it's going to go into the C tier. Similar explanation to Anti-Blue, you generally want to spend your time doing more damage, not preventing damage from enemies. You can finish off battles more quickly in this game if you just stack increasing damage effects, and I generally don't recommend trying to decrease the enemy's damage. It just isn't that effective as a strategy. Next up is Strengthen. This has more use, but it's still going to go into the B tier for me, right above Tablet. No, right below Tablet. I changed my mind. This is a level 4 element that increases your character's physical attack power. This is a good element, but I would much rather just cast a turn element on the enemy and have a character do more damage and then be able to do damage with elements of the opposite element from that character. That was a terrible way of saying that. Okay, let me put it this way. If I cast Turn Red on an enemy and then I cast a blue element on it, I'm going to do a ton more damage. If I cast Turn Red on an enemy and I have a blue character attack them, they're going to do more damage. Strengthen is just going to allow one character to do more damage, and I suppose you could stack that by, say, casting Strengthen on Fargo and then casting Turn Red on the enemy, but I would much rather just cast Turn Red on the enemy and have Fargo attack and then use blue elements with the other characters. Or just have them physically attack. You're wasting a lot of stamina by using this when you could just be doing damage. Now, 99 is one of the more interesting elements in the game. It basically makes it so all of your attacks, the ones that cost 1, 2, or 3 stamina, will hit with 99% accuracy. I think this effect is cool, but generally you don't need it, so I'm going to put this into the B tier. I think it's cool. I think it can be useful, especially if you're using a Vigora strategy, and I'll talk about that in the blue element tier list. However, I think that you have better ways to spend your time. You can just do a 1-2-3 combo and be done, and honestly, this may mess up field element strategies, so I wouldn't really use this that often. I've never personally used it in a game, I've never needed it. Recharge is the final element on this list. It's a level 6 element that will recharge all elements from level 1 to 5 on someone's sphere grid. Now, I think this is a nifty-difty effect, but honestly, in most battles, you don't need to recharge your elements if you can set yourself up right. And remember, in Chrono Cross, you have the ability to run away and reallocate all of your elements if you wish to. So I'm going to put this element in the C tier. I think it would go higher if it recharged all of your elements and not just the ones from level 1 to 5. Unfortunately, it can't. And to boot, it can only be equipped on red innate characters, so it loses a lot of utility. All right, that's the tier list. You can watch my black element tier list above, click the link, and I will see you for the next one, the blue element tier list. Bye-bye. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.